is like trying out for the Yankees.
It's true.
This is serious, and it is top level, and it is true because there are very few places across the nation that have this caliber of opportunity to really hone in on craftsmanship, because the sky's the limit out here.
Where else do you have the combination of rural beauty, the best beaches in the world, and the highest level of architecture design and desire for the highest quality craftsmanship?
Anyone from West Hampton to East, to Montauk, or East Hampton would be their high school, but it is available to these graduating seniors. You don't necessarily need to go to college. You could go straight into the trades.
Welcome to POV Hamptons, where real conversations meet soulful perspectives. I'm Anastasia Gavalas, your host, inviting you into the lives of visionaries, change makers, and creatives shaping the East End. This isn't just any podcast. It's a movement with real people, unfiltered stories, authentic voices, and elevated insights. We shine a light on the individuals making waves in our community. We explore the ideas shaping the Hamptons and the moments that carry life's deepest lessons. From inspiring journeys to transformative conversations, this show reveals the true heartbeat of this iconic destination. One high-vibing episode at a time. So settle in. You're about to discover what makes this place truly extraordinary. Let's dive in.
Ed is the founder of Bulgin and Associates construction company based in Southampton. His journey began after graduating from Central Islip High School in 1970, followed by earning a Bachelor of Science in Physical Education from Cortland University. Though Ed initially taught and coached high school soccer and wrestling, his passion for carpentry led him to trade the classroom for the job site and became an apprentice carpenter. He got married, sailed to the Hamptons, had 2 children, and built a thriving construction company on the East End. In 2022, Ed teamed up with Julie Hatfield and me to establish the Construction Career Charitable Fund, dedicating their free time to raising funds and awarding scholarships to motivated high school graduates across the Hamptons who are pursuing careers in construction. Outside of his professional life, Ed enjoys flying, surfing, cycling, and pickleball. I did hear about that, actually. I did hear that you're a mean pickleball player. Julie Hatfield became a full-time Sag Harbor resident in 1989, raising her 2 children through the Sag Harbor school system. Deeply committed to her community, she has served on the Sag Harbor Architectural Review Board, the Board of Directors for the Retreat, and the Construction Careers Charitable Fund. After leaving a successful stint as a waitress on the East End, Julie earned a master's in architecture along with a certificate in historic preservation. She began her career working alongside Dick Baxter on the restoration of significant local landmarks like Mulford Farm before transitioning to architectural design with Fred Stell. In 1988, Julie joined Wright & Company Construction as a project manager and has since risen to the role of president, leading the company with expertise and a passion for preserving the architectural heritage of the East End. And I'll share a little bit about myself. I'm one of the board members as well. George and I moved out here about 23 years ago, have raised our 5 children out here, and George is really the heart and soul of BuildTheory and the CEO. From a young age, he was captivated by building and swinging a hammer, and he learned it from his grandfather and his father, who were cabinet makers and contractors as well. Loved what they did. He loved watching them, and he hasn't stopped. And he really appreciates genuine, true craftsmanship. And we were lucky enough to be able to raise our children out here, and lucky enough to be part of this wonderful construction fund. So thank you for joining me, and I'm really excited to share everything about the construction fund and what we've worked on for the past few years. And we're going to get to that, but I wanted to first ask you about what drew you out here personally. Ed?
Well, when I was in high school in Central Islip, which is about 50 miles west of here, I was drawn to Shinnecock Inlet before it was popular. And I had a motorcycle, and I would drive out here with my girlfriend almost every weekend in the spring and summer and just hang out at Shinnecock Inlet, which I still do 60 years later. So then I graduated. Central Islip became crowded. I went upstate, went to college, graduated, but I've always like loved Shinnecock Inlet. And actually, that's where I spent my honeymoon, Shinnecock Inlet. And so after I graduated college, I taught for a year, but I was drawn to carpentry. I wrestled, played soccer at Cortland, and when sports were over, I put a tool belt on, and it became my new sport. How fast, how quick. It just, and then I got a paycheck to do it on top of that. So I was a pro.
Yeah.
Finally, I was a pro athlete in my head anyway. And then I wanted to be near the ocean, so I moved to Rhode Island, started a business for 5 or 6 years, and then sailing got my attention. So I got a sailboat and started on my way to the Caribbean, came to Sag Harbor. My wife and I were living on the boat as I was a carpenter for Andreessen Construction at that time. This is like 1984, 85. And the divine saved my life and my wife's life because I didn't know how to sail, but I was going to head to the Caribbean anyway. And
very trusting.
one morning my wife says, I'm pregnant, right? And it just changed everything. I said, okay, let's. And she said, I'll sail with you. And I said, no, I don't think that's a good idea. So our roots grew in Sag Harbor, thank the Lord. And that's how I got out here.
And you've been here ever since.
Ever since.
Mm-hmm. And Julie?
We moved out here about 40 years ago as a family with my parents. But where else do you have the combination of rural beauty, the best beaches in the world, and the highest level of architecture, design, and desire for the highest quality craftsmanship?
So true.
So once you put those together, I wasn't leaving. So that's how I ended up here.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's so true, right?
Yeah,
I
so
think
true,
we all.
Yeah. It's amazing what we have at our fingertips. And the students
Yes.
have at their
Yeah,
fingertips.
and young people for sure, for sure. What was that defining moment of like you were teaching and you were coaching
Yeah.
and then you decide I'm going to go into construction?
Yeah, I guess by the way, I got D in shop in high school. I was terrible. That's the truth.
Now
You
we
got
know.
a D.
Now
Who
we
gets
know.
a D in shop?
Exactly.
I do. Everything I touched had glue all over it.
Oh, my
and,
gosh.
and
That's funny.
sawdust. That was terrible. But somehow, after I hung up my wrestling sneakers, I went to work for some local people in Cortland. And I just loved putting wood together.
It
And-
also sounds like maybe the physicality, the working hard, the physicality, and being outdoors.
And there was a lot to it. And then my wrestling coach at the time wanted me to be a teacher, so he applied for me at these jobs, and I got offered a teaching job. So I said, well, let me go teach. And I taught for a year, but I was drawn to carpentry. I just couldn't get it out of my mind. So I guess
That's
how
it, right?
happened.
That's
Yeah.
it. Julie, how did you get into the field?
For me, the funny thing, speaking of sort of divine, is my grandfather, who I'm his namesake. I never met him, but his name was Jules, and he was a builder on Long Island. But my parents, being sort of second or third generation Americans, thought I should go to college and graduate school, and I thought, how do you combine a love of buildings with college and graduate school? So I went to architecture school, at the same time as having summer jobs out here in carpentry, specifically with the historic barns. I then worked after graduate school, worked as an architect for Fred Stell for a number of years, and the piece of plain paper and sitting still in front of the blank sheet was not stimulating enough. And the idea of construction, the idea of sort of multitasking, it's almost like probably what you go through producing this podcast, Anastasia. But you're given a script or an idea of a script, and then you have to build it. And so that involves budgeting, finding the resources, finding the location, and that just absolutely suited my personality. So after a bunch of years in architecture, my husband worked for Mike O'Reilly building windows and said, hey, Mike O'Reilly's brother-in-law, Kenny Wright, who founded Wright and Company, needs a project manager. Why don't you meet him? And I met him and never looked back. And this was my calling. It was unusual 30 years ago to be a female in construction. And that was, I was very tentative about that. I had no role models, but being a pioneer as a woman in construction, that has also been one of my callings, is sort of how do we get young women to go into the field. So it's been a fun way to use one of my callings in conjunction with the Construction Career Scholarship or Fund, finding some of the young women. And we had a successful female placement last year.
That's right.
So
That's right.
that's how I got into construction.
So definitely being a female in the field. How many years ago you said?
28, exactly.
Right. Right. Very unusual.
I
I
know.
mean, even now, I mean, you
Yes,
don't
even
see
now.
the majority of project managers, the majority of people on the
Or men.
yeah,
Very few women
the
in the
entire
field.
team. Yeah.
Yeah. We need more.
Yes, for sure. And I do believe that with technology and with just the awareness, we're going to get them. We're going to get them. It's going to grow. So that's a little bit about the personal journey, right? And obviously we're here together today to talk about the Construction Career Charitable Fund. It's a mouthful, but online and on the internet. You can find it on constructionfund.org. And it was the idea from Mr. Bulgin that created this. And together we worked to make it happen. But can you tell us a little bit about that process of when did you think about this? How did it sort of come together and then ultimately become this
as
fund?
Julie knows, and you know, the so many of the people we get as employees, as carpenters, plumbers, electricians, it's almost like it was default career for them, right?
Right.
And they weren't going to college, so they looked around and they had to earn some money, so, construction. So they kind of just defaulted into our beautiful industry. But they came to us, as I felt, almost like dismissed from the school systems, unfortunately. And it didn't, we love this career. We found our way in it, and we wanted to share it, right? That's why we're all doing it. And that's what I wanted to do, is to share it. So I went to school to be a teacher and a coach. And when I ran my business, I realized after many years that I was a coach to the plumbers, electricians, tile setters, of trying to convince them of how good they could be, like a coach, right, from the sidelines. Look at the opportunity here. The people you're working for want you to be the best that you could be. So,
And that's unique to our area. I think, we're all coming to it as general contractors, but our projects are unique, I think, from others across the country or even across Long Island, that people want subcontractors, tradespeople, to do their absolute best work, not their fastest work.
Every day.
Yeah.
And so that big part of our job is convincing these people of the opportunity that they have and how good they could be, to raise the bar on their skill level and how much they appreciate themselves. And I realized that the communities come together and raise funds to give out scholarships to kids going to college. And then it hit me with some help from a congresswoman. Why not offer kids going into the trades scholarship? And it just made total sense. And so I approached Southampton High School. You were there on our first meeting, right? And it was just everybody at that table, right? There was
Right.
like 6 or 7 of us.
Right.
They saw the vision. Thank goodness. And 3 years later, here we are offering scholarships to some talented young students.
So I think to the germ of Ed's idea was to raise the status of kids who weren't ready for whatever reason to go to college or not even intending to, but how to raise their status in the eyes of the community. So
Exactly.
you know, the kids are up there on academic awards night and they're getting $100 from the Rotary and $100 from VFW and sometimes more. But that, you know, this is not only a really needed labor force. We're on the east end of Long Island. People are coming from one direction. We have to kind of grow our own labor force. And how do we help do that? Let's first start by raising the status of working in the trades. So that is why we also decided on much larger awards than a typical academic award.
Way larger.
Yeah.
Way
So that was
larger.
one of
Pretty
the
impressive.
tactics,
Yes. Yes.
And you know, as you have seen, when these students walk across the stage in front of their peers, their parents, their teachers, and get applaud.
I know.
Don't cry on us,
Yes.
Ed.
They get applauded. I
Yeah.
mean, and so they start their career, right, on a positive note
sure.
instead
Yep.
of by default.
Right. And
So
that's
we're
a
trying to
really good,
turn-
yes.
Yeah.
That
turn the
recognition,
tables.
right? And that recognition that you and Julie and I and everybody who supports the construction fund know, not only are they getting this award, but they're being led to a path that's very often finds much success.
Yeah.
And we all know that because we know, you know, what it costs when we call a plumber to our house or when it costs to get, you know, an electrician come to our house, right? So I'm so glad that you kept at it because I know you had this idea for years.
Thanks to
And-
you and Julie.
Yeah, and again, it was the right timing, right? That Julie was available and willing to work, and I was available and willing to do this, and you know, our paths crossed, and I think that it was the right time. It was the right time. Besides the fact that it's getting national publicity, right, with you know articles in the paper that are sharing the importance of not losing trades, of not you know forgetting about the value of people being able to do. I mean, I believe that if anything, COVID showed us the importance of the essential worker, right? And the importance of that, right? Who didn't want to build a deck, right? With their extra time after a month or two, they knew they had to do something around their house, right? To fix something. And it was like, those were the people who were most sought after. And I know just by being raised with people who are, you know, mechanically inclined and just really talented like that, like it's not even it's always like there's always someone to fix something and figure it out and do it well. And so thank you for thinking of the idea, and thank you for, you know, persevering in making sure that we ultimately get this to every school on the East End. And we're getting there.
And it is growing.
It is growing. Did you, either one of you, see gaps in the industry that you thought we could, I think you really did talk about it, but were there gaps in the industry that you thought you could fill with this construction fund?
Well, the need within the construction business definitely needs help, right? That's one aspect. The other is traffic, help keep traffic down. The students, they don't have as far to travel.
Right.
It saves them money. They don't have to travel somewhere. And, you know, just the housing part of it, right? They, you know, hopefully they stay at home or that someday they can afford their own place out here. So there was multiple opportunities to help out around the community.
I think for the last 20 years, the labor force out here has grown as the population in the Hamptons have grown, and most of the workers, I think what Ed's sort of getting at is most of the workers have been coming from up west. So they're traveling an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours to get to our job sites. And while the BOCES and vocational training and even offering these jobs to the young people in the local schools had been declining. And so we're trying to revive that as a local, homegrown workforce.
Yeah, and to that point, I remember that there was a decline as well because even kids at school, so a kid from East Hampton or a kid from Sag Harbor, a kid from Southampton has to go all the way up island to get that training.
Yes.
So that in itself was discouraging to many. And that's one of the reasons that Southampton brought it in-house.
Yeah.
And that other schools are also bringing it in-house because they're realizing it. But it does take the support of the school, the boards there, and the community to understand the value of education. Because again, when you were younger and you shop, we had mechanical, we had a plethora of opportunities. At least I did in Oceanside growing up, and it was like all of a sudden they started disappearing, and then shop teachers are almost impossible to find, you know, because there were no colleges that were teaching that specialty. And so I think it's all of these elements that make it so vital to fill in the gap. And of course, like you said, the traffic element, or just knowing that there's such an opportunity. I often I think about your saying when you talk to the kids when we bring them on the field trip. This is like trying out for the Yankees.
It's true.
This is serious, and it is top level, and it is true because there are very few places across the nation that have this caliber of opportunity to really hone in on craftsmanship, because the sky's the limit out here, and people want to be out here, and
Extremely lucrative also.
very, absolutely.
You know,
Our other favorite saying now is, you get to learn while you earn.
Yes.
right.
So talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit, Ed.
Well, I found, and I think, Julie, you probably noticed that on-job training, on-site training is the best.
Yep.
And especially when a student shows up enthusiastic about learning. Just about every workman is willing to share his knowledge. He's proud of his knowledge. He wants to share it to somebody who wants to know it.
Right.
Right? If you show up to earn a paycheck, nobody's going to really go out of their way. But if you show up and you really want to learn a trade, there's an army out there willing to teach you. And that's why, going to school, paying to get an education in the trades is okay. But working and earning while you learn is the way to go. And most of our employees, that's how they came up.
Yep. Well, interestingly enough, we also did.
We also did, that's right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Ed is the founder now of Bulgin and Associates, but he started working for Kurt as a carpenter. I started in the office, and the sky's the limit for the kids who want to take this on. You come in as a helper or a laborer, and if you have the enthusiasm and the drive, the sky's the limit.
Yeah. Funny story is when I left teaching, right? I left in June, and I got a job as basically a laborer, apprentice, coffee boy.
Yep.
And come July, I was in an attic upstate stuffing insulation, right?
Fun. Good times.
And I was like, I quit teaching. What did I do? What did I do? I'm all sweaty, full of insulation. And
You would have had off July and August if you would have
Yeah,
stayed
I
in
would have
teaching. True. Instead,
I
you were
remember
doing
I had
insulation.
my doubts about my decision.
What'd you think, Julie, when Ed approached you for this, and
I might
when you
have
heard about
approached
this?
Ed.
Julia called me. She had heard about it.
Wow. Yep.
Yes.
I
yes.
approached Ed.
Thank you very much.
It was something in the back of my mind as well. How can we get students to, I knew that there was one national foundation, but how could we get local students, because it is such a need for us. The other part is, we're lucky enough out here to have so much work that I don't think of Ed as my competitor, even though we are probably, truly each other's biggest competitors. But we get to work together on this. And what a joy that is to work together with a competitor to help the community. Ed touched on the need for housing, but you're making a lot more money, especially in the mechanical trades, so plumbing, electrician, and HVAC. So we're just trying to teach also the local community about these kids can stay. They're earning, probably accelerating amounts faster than other local trades and get to stay here.
Yep.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Julie called me, and it inspired me, because as much as we were competitors, when I'd go to a client meeting, getting introduced, going for a job, and I'd say, "Who's the other bidders?" And if they said
Wright and Company.
if they said Wright and Company, which mostly they did, I'd say, "I'm honored. I'm honored that
Same.
yeah,
Same.
you have to
We
be
knew,
in the
we
in
knew
that
it was
list."
worth pursuing
Yes.
if it was each other.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
That's great. If you could give your younger self some advice, what would it be?
Come on, you've got more years under your belt. Ed.
A few. I wish I had gotten to know more builders, and because as I got to know the two of you and your husband, who I recently met, coming together as a force, we can do good.
So much more.
And for years I didn't know any of the builders, and thank you for reaching out. But now that we've joined forces, we're doing good in the community. So that was a positive.
Yeah.
And I would say, sort of, what could I tell my younger self? Slightly different, being a woman, but trusting myself. And I think Ed could probably relate to this one. But most important thing as a builder these days in the Hamptons is how to stay realistic when clients are increasingly having more unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
doing your best work is always the right thing. So that's the trust part. But how to stay realistic when people are having unrealistic goals.
Yeah.
And how to stay honest,
Honest, yeah.
right? And how to build and even start the process with, I know George feels strongly about this, with integrity, and keep your integrity throughout, regardless of what other people are telling them, right?
Absolutely.
Or what they're promising them or what they're doing. I feel like that's been, a challenge to educate the homeowner, right? Who wants to build a house, wants to be at a certain budget, but then they're choosing things that are not even close to that budget, and still guiding with grace and integrity and honesty. I think that there are a lot of people who come and go in our business, and I feel that it's a challenge because it keeps elevating, right? It keeps getting elevated, like you said, Julie, about what the expectation is.
Yep. Bigger,
And
faster,
big-
more.
yeah,
But
yeah.
how to stay honest with what you're telling clients.
Right,
And
right.
subcontractors. Yep.
And architects
Yep.
and designers and all the teams that we work with, and really that's key. And it's so funny because when you think about it, we're out here, we're lucky enough, we're blessed to be able to live out here and raise our families out here and enjoy it year round. And people want that, right? But there's just sometimes I think there's a tunnel vision of them thinking this is how I'm going to get it, right? It's the fastest,
Yes.
it's the biggest, it's whatever millions of dollars that they want to spend. And I'll never forget, as we bring the kids into these homes, I mean, these children are coming from modest needs. Some are on the poverty level, and people don't recognize that enough of the Hamptons. Part of the reason that I wanted to do the podcast is for the stories, and the real stories of the Hamptons and what's really happening here, and the work that people do, and the efforts and the reality that's out here. And part of it is walking kids onto the job site. So I really want to talk about our process. I really want to talk about what the construction fund is and the process of it. So who wants to go?
I think we're still developing our process,
Yes.
and we learn something each year. Anastasia, you just touched on, we're bringing the kids to the job sites. So our clients are gracious enough to give us permission, and we've reached out to other builders out here who support us in allowing us to bring the kids, because there's safety and job interruption considerations. But the most important step in our process is bringing the children or the high school students to the job sites to see the incredible work that we all do, and all the builders, Fifth and Dune has helped us, Men at Work, all three of our companies, BuildTheory, Bulgin and Wright and Company. So everyone, to see the level of craftsmanship, the high quality, the sheer size, the resources, the windows coming from all around the world, the large structural steel projects. So we do these incredible projects, and showing the kids that work has been our first step.
And that was Ed's idea. And Ed, that was such a great idea.
Yeah, that was wonderful. And besides the students, when we take them to the job sites and you look at them seeing these houses they may have seen in a magazine only, and they're walking around seeing it, their eyes are wide open. But then the teachers and administrators are the same thing.
Yeah.
Their eyes are wide open. And here we are a mile from their schools, and they had no idea the opportunity that is at their doorsteps for their students.
Yes.
So,
and the subcontracts have been phenomenal in gathering them and teaching them right there on the spot. I mean, when I think about even that conversation that they have with kids.
We bring those kids onto the job site, the pride that either the subcontractor or a foreman or a carpenter shows the children when they explain their work. Because we go onto a job site and ask a few people who are willing to talk to the kids to explain what they're doing. The pride is is moving.
Yes.
And the subcontractors, they're so willing to fund this for us, and it's not for themselves. It's not a selfish funding.
No.
It's to help the community and help these students. It's really wonderful.
So that was step one, was sort of bringing the kids, introducing the idea to the schools and getting their permission. The field trips are sort of the first step in our yearly process. And then we ask students to apply for the fund. We've been calling it scholarships technically for scholarly pursuits. So we've changed it to a fund for students to use towards working in the trades. So whether it's to buy tools, to help with transportation, to help with housing. The next step to apply for that grant, let's say, has been Anastasia, you're the one who set up the website and the online application. So that's really the next step.
And one thing that I don't know if we shared, but it is available to all East End students. So anyone from West Hampton to East to Montauk, or East Hampton would be their high school, but it is available, and we have the support, like you said, of the other local builders who we've collaborated with, subcontractors who we all work with, and students, graduating seniors apply in. So the field trip happens in the fall. Students apply starting January of the following year, and the applications were due about a month ago.
Yep.
And then we are in the midst right now of deciding of setting up interviews, and then the interviews are, again, it's a process.
It is.
It's a really interesting process. What do we look for in a candidate? What do we look for in the student that should get the award? What was important to you?
Well, that they're involved in their school, and sports would be helpful.
Why?
Why? Well, because one, construction is physically challenging most of the time, right? And athletes tend to, have experienced that. The general population within the school may not have had that challenge.
The rigor of that sort of extracurricular activity.
Right.
Yep.
Right, at the high school level, you thought would fit sort of the same type of mindset that you would need to succeed in the trades.
Yeah.
So that was really, I mean, you said that from the day one, you've been saying that, and I do believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, You know, I've been proven wrong with Janet Mia,
Yeah.
who got a job last year. She wasn't an athlete, and this little lady, very pleasant,
I'll never
quiet.
forget her.
Yeah, she,
Her.
100 pounds, and she wanted to be a framer.
Yep.
That's right.
We asked her what her favorite tool was, and her answer was a hammer.
Yeah, and we found her a position in a cabinet company.
Yes.
And she's thriving.
Yeah.
And I think we all take a lot of pride in her and many of the others. I think all of us
I can't
takes-
I can't think of one student who we helped
Right.
who did not make us proud. I really, you know, regardless of how they sort of navigated it.
Yeah.
But I think of our 2 East Hampton students, and they're doing great. And yeah.
So we go through the interview process, and then unfortunately, I think we all feel the same when we interview them. We almost want to adopt them. You know, each student who is seriously pursuing this, we wish we could help. But we come down to sort of a handful. Last year, I think we did 8 awards, split between 3 schools. And
It was over $65,000
Yep,
we
we gave out.
awarded. Yeah.
And the structure of that, in case people are curious, was Ed's idea. But I think it works so well because it's based on a commitment level. So we interview the kids and then we select them. Their next step is that they have to themselves, and we help. We give lists of available subcontracts that we have relationship with or other builders. The students who are slotted for an award have to go out and get a job before they get their first check. So they have to have a committed job. Once they do, they get 20% of their award. We try to, you know, our goal is to award each student about $10,000, depending on sort of a number of factors. It's been anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000. Those are really significant, but we space them out. 20% on getting a commitment with a
First month, after the first month. Yeah.
of their job, and then after 6 months, another 40%, and then after a year, the last 40% of their initial award.
Right. Right.
And that, I think, was
Really
Ed's
smart,
idea.
yeah.
That was really smart to space it out.
Yeah, paid off.
It did.
Not everybody lasts.
Right,
Like
right.
what,
And
first
that's
year.
okay.
Yeah,
But
that's
again,
okay.
they did what they needed to do. They tried things. Some switched, right? Some students switched fields but stayed in the trades, and we support that as well because you don't necessarily know what you don't know, right?
Absolutely.
And then, and then we do it all over again every year. And that's, I think, seeing them in action when we get the photographs and hearing the feedback from the subs that has been so positive is just, you know, it just makes my heart, you know, just swell with pride because
Absolutely.
together we've been able to do this. And again, there's a difference with, you know, standing at arm's length and being competitors out here. And then there's a difference with collaboration and coming together and joining forces so that we can support our community and the young people of our community. So, yeah, so that's how we roll. And like you said, we're growing and learning every year. This is another exciting year. I'm so excited to speak to the students and learn more about them and then award them during their
I think we
awards
tripled
night.
our interest this year, interested students.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. We had a lot of applicants. And again, you know, we get funded privately by who subs have been our biggest supporters.
Yep.
And the more we can raise our funds, the more we can give away and the more students we can support in this. So that's really something that we're going to keep working on for years to come and just keep growing it. Did either of you have mentors? I'm just curious, or role models when you started in the business?
My boss, Kurt Andreessen, he wasn't a coach or a teacher, but I learned a lot from him just by watching him. And the main thing I learned from him was ethics. He was very ethical. And growing up in Central Islip, I can't say I was that ethical. It was
Or
just
maybe
in
didn't
the
have
culture.
those role models.
Right, didn't have the role models at the time.
But yeah, that's what I learned from him. Plus, you know, the skill and how to deal with people and so forth. But yeah, he helped me quite a bit. And you know, as you know, we learn from the laborer,
Sure.
right? I mean,
Sure.
that if
The
keep
expert,
your ears
yeah.
open, because as much as we think we know, there's
Right.
always something to learn from somebody.
That's right. That's right.
And for me, I have to echo it because it's very similar. My sort of role model was Ken Wright, and I think we've all touched upon our three businesses are sort of based on ethics and integrity and honesty, the pride in workmanship, starting at the laborer level. You know, how do you give your client the best work? It's by making everybody on your job site feel good about their work.
Yes.
So
Yes.
whether it's an employee or a subcontractor.
Yeah.
Which is so important, right?
Yep.
And just all those skills that we learn. And yeah, and I'm thinking about how when we did go on the different job sites and how we met different project managers or different people in the field, you know, and when we shared the story about these students and how we're saying, well, to these students, to these graduating seniors, you don't necessarily need to go to college. You can go straight into the trades, which was, again, it's an idea that has not, over the past, I would say 20, 30 years, has not been promoted. And I think that a lot of students face the pressure of
Yes.
that, of needing or feeling the need. And certainly schools are driving that home. They're not going the other way. There are these exceptions. And certainly I feel that some schools may have outlier teachers or, you know, teachers who are supporting that and really promoting it and helping kids get to that point. But how do you think it reshapes their futures, what we are doing right now? How do you think it would reshape someone's future? Since we know that they're going through public schools right now, we're supporting kids in public schools out here. How do you think it reshapes?
Well, you know, there's two aspects. One is financial, and as I call it, the simple math is that these graduating seniors that come this July, they could be earning $40,000 to $50,000 a year right off the bat, and eventually get some insurance and get some retirement fund and so forth. And in 4 years, it's projected they could be earning $70,000 to $80,000 in 4 years. So if you compare that to what if you go away to college, you're going to spend probably $100,000 to $250,000 you're going to pay out versus bringing in $200,000 over a 4-year period. Right. So that's attractive, and I don't think anybody's telling the students that.
Right.
We had two young men from Southampton High School last year that we interviewed, Ed and Anastasia, and we asked them where they thought they would be in 5 or 10 years.
Oh, they said our jobs. They would
Yes,
have our jobs.
exactly.
That's right.
So,
That's
sky's the limit.
Yeah.
And besides the financial part, construction, if you take it serious, there's so much pride, especially out here, in what you build.
Yes.
When you walk away at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of 3 years, and you see these wonderful structures that you were a part of. And as problematic as a lot of them are, when you walk away and you come back a year later, it's pretty amazing how much pride you take in it.
Yeah.
And to see clients enjoy them.
Yeah.
You know,
And then also build for generations, for their
Yes.
generation and their
Yes.
children. And that's what we're at right now. Yeah.
absolutely.
So how do you think, from your perspectives, investing in the trades benefits the graduate, but how do you think it benefits the community?
I want to read something
Okay.
from Benjamin Franklin.
Oh, this is Ed's favorite.
So not the whole statement, but this is Benjamin Franklin believed that skilled workers formed the foundation of American democracy. I'm going to tear up again. They provided crucial services while interacting daily with people of all classes, creeds, and colors. Essentially, they kept the pulse of a community's street-level public and economic life and laid the groundwork of a healthy society. Good apprentice, Franklin wrote in his will, are most likely to make good citizens.
What an incredible way to
Yeah.
come towards the end of this.
Yes.
Yep.
So what do you see as the vision for the Construction Career Charitable Fund? What do you think is going to happen in the next few years, and then long term? What do we hope?
I think we're hoping that other communities will use what we've set up as a model and bring it across the country.
Yeah.
I think that's really our dream.
That would be nice, yeah, to expand it
Mhm.
once we figure it out.
We have figured it out.
Yep.
We are personalizing this experience to this community because there is, like we said, very few places like this, right? Like what we're
Yes.
dealing with the level of trades, skills setting, developing all that, and the opportunity out here. So it has to be personalized to each community, but
Yes.
that's possible. I mean, that's for sure possible.
And necessary.
And necessary.
Yeah.
Good
Yep.
point, Ed. It really is necessary. Where have we gotten the funding so far to support the students that we have
Well,
thus
the
far?
three of us have
Yes.
helped out.
Yes.
Some of our clients, a few of our clients have helped out. So we've had some clients, but mostly the subcontractors have stepped up and been more than willing to help fund us.
And I'm going to make the plea for more ideas because there's only so many times we can ask the same subcontractors. So we've been trying to find more sources for funding. We've tried a couple of the big tool companies, their philanthropic arms, but whether or not anyone listening to this wants to hop on our
Fund.
constructionfund.org. There's a donate button, but we're searching for sort of more funding. Definitely, that I think because we're willing to put in the work and fund as many students as possible.
Right. And we are doing all the work. So it
Yep.
is just a matter of if someone wants to support and recognizes the value
Yep.
in supporting the backbone of a community, which are the people, the tradesmen and the tradeswomen, who are making communities thrive.
Yeah. My pitch to clients is, how hard has it been to find, a plumber, a landscaper, anybody to come when you call? It's you frequently get put on a list to wait if you don't have a prior relationship. So let's all help each other and grow this industry.
And donations of any amount. I
Yep.
mean, anything that we receive goes right into the
the
hands
students.
of students. We are supporting students directly, and we're supporting kids who want to go into the trades.
Great, thanks
Yes.
for the
Yeah,
opportunity.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a great partnership, and I appreciate it.
We
Thank you for
appreciate you.
coming.